I have come to the conclusion that I am a professional sidequester, and that's just going to be me for the rest of my life. Hence the reason why I created the Diary of a Sidequester. I am someone who just cannot stay on the track of going the safe route because it always feels like a part of me is being extinguished or like a part of me is dying. Not to be dramatic or anything, but it's true. Every time I go to safe route, something takes a hit, whether it's my mental, physical, spiritual or emotional health or all of them. Okay. I just cannot stay on the safe track. And I've tried so hard because it just seems like it's supposed to be easy and that's what you're supposed to do. That's what we've been programmed to do ever since school. But I cannot escape business to save my life. This is what the safe route track always looks like for me. Let me go ahead and find a job. I get the interview. I get the job. I determine I like the job and I feel like I can stay here for a while and get comfortable. Soon as I get that mindset of I can stay here and be comfortable, something happens immediately where it's like, nope, you need to get up out of here. It's time to find something else. And it does that every single time. It doesn't matter what industry I go to, doesn't matter what company I've worked for, it always ends the same route. And even when I side quested into teaching for these last 2 years, I still couldn't escape business because I was a business teacher. I have been on the business track ever since middle school. I did all of my electives in business. I got a bachelor's in marketing management and a master's in business administration. I ran a financial consulting business for a while, although it wasn't structured in a way that was sustainable or would allow me to live the life that I wanted to live long term. I still gained something that will now allow me to take me to the next step. When I finished teaching, or when I determined that I was finished with teaching before the school year ended last year, I was asking God, okay, what's my next move? Because at this point, I know I'm not going to be able to do this. And the only thing that I got from him was document. And I'm like, okay, what am I documenting? Because that's not necessarily going to pay the bills or that's not going to allow me to create the income that I want to create off the bat. But as soon as I started to document and just start putting videos out there just to get back into the swing of content creation again, I realized that I need to go back into what I really know and what I really enjoy doing. I am someone who is a multifaceted person. We're all multifaceted people if I'm, going to be honest, but I am someone who leans into it a lot. And I need something that will allow me to scratch multiple parts of my brain in order for me to feel fulfilled. And I know right now the buzzword or the buzz term, especially when it comes to this job market, is creating portfolio income. But that is exactly what I'm going to be working on and documenting alongside of other things because it will allow me to do what I want to do, make multiple sources of income without running myself into the ground because I'm doing it on a foundation with God this time. Yes, I had that finance chick for 7-8 years. However, I was doing it out of place, or I created it out of a place of stubbornness and out of brokenness, where in this time I'm doing it out of obedience and wholeness. Before the school year ended last year, one of the biggest lessons that I was giving my students was what the job market is going to look like for them by the time they graduate and what they need to do in order for them to not be a statistic of not having a job. And honestly, I think the data was like by 2030 or 2034, 50% of the job market are going to be contractors or freelancers or something along those lines. And because AI has been such a disruptor and will continue to be a disruptor, you have to find some place that you can fill a gap that AI cannot do that. And because I know what my skill sets are, I know my skill stacks, and I know what I could possibly do, I know what gaps that I'm going to be able to fill. Also, because I determined that honestly, none of this really matters. The world is on fire. Our politicians suck. Things just don't seem to be getting any better. You might as well go ahead and bet on yourself because there's no such thing as safe anymore. A lot of jobs that people have stayed at for 10, 15, 20 years, that's not going to be the case anymore. Heck, even the education system is not going to be the same anymore in terms of job stability, in my personal opinion. People have so many options now to educate their children, and honestly, there is a fatigue in the education system that I believe that we're going to see like a collapse or a bubble. We already started to see it because of the teacher shortages, when technically there weren't shortages, there were just teachers who were tired and wanted to find something else. They were more than enough qualified people. They just weren't getting paid what they needed to get paid. Anyway, but because of the landscape changing in so many different things, there is no such thing as safe anymore. And it just makes a lot of sense, at least for me, to bet on myself and create a portfolio income. And that is what I'm going to be documenting. So if you're someone who is interested in creating your own portfolio income because of safety, because of income, because of, maybe because you're like me, you need to be able to scratch multiple parts of your brain for you to feel fulfilled, go ahead and follow along on this journey, because this is what I'm going to be documenting alongside of my other content. Because at this point, I tried to go the safe route, and I even thought about building a whole consulting business again. But honestly speaking, that would put me in a situation where I would not feel fulfilled anymore. Yes, the income would be there, but I essentially would have created a job for myself that I just didn't have to answer to anybody directly. And I don't want that. I want to go ahead and go the route that I know is going to be the most beneficial for me and my family. So go ahead and subscribe and join the journey.